In this video, I'm taking a look at moves number 93. And this came out, the date is the summer of 1997. And this is another issue which is special to me because the cover article is one of my articles. It's on Krieg. So many people are familiar with Axis Empires, Totaler Krieg, or Axis Empires Daisenso, and then the latest Ultimate Edition of those. But before them, there was a game called Totaler Krieg, and before that was the grandfather of them all, Krieg. And I remember I got a copy of that back in the mid 90s when it first came out, and I was asked to write an article on it by Decision Games. So the result of that article on Krieg was Krieg, a strategic look at World War II Europe. And I did not pick the title. That's something that the editor ended up doing most of the time. And I can't remember who the editor was at the time. Yeah, David McElhannon, I remember. He's a nice guy. So in this game, I did a little bit of an analysis of some of the things that made this game unique. You know, it's basically a strategic World War II game of Western Europe, or actually Western and Eastern Europe. It had the Western, Eastern, and Mediterranean fronts in it. And so the unique thing is how production was handled and strategy through operations cards. So I did an entire section on my take on what the operation cards brought to the table. I also discussed how air superiority came into play in conducting operations. I discussed the use of naval convoys and how they were important in this game. And then the game had a unique feature of unit organization where you could build units like corps up into armies or corps. Yeah, I think it was corps into armies mostly is how this one worked. And then I had my own thoughts on strategy, which I'm not a great strategist in these games. I just love the stories. And then I did an example of play. Basically, you would call it a replay of Operation Sea Lion. And I think it's I played out the 1940 year with Operation Sea Lion, and they did a great job on this they included with my replay some nice color photographs as well as pictures of the operations cards. Now in the original Krieg, the cards were like the tear out type of cards that you got in, with the perforated, like you got in like the old sports games of that, in the 70s and 80s. So then at the end of it, I kind of gave an analysis of what happened. The second article is an excellent one by the designer of Krieg, Stephen Kosakowski, and it's called Krieg, the Designer's Deepest Secrets. And he talked about the role that the player actually has in the game, a little bit about the economy, his choice to have limited war and then going into total war. And he talks about U-boats and Stalin, and I mean, it's a very detailed article. It gives you some foundation insight into, even if you have Axis Empires edition of this game, the foundations all come from Krieg. And then he did an article called Krieg as History, and they did basically a replay of I don't remember how many turns. I think they went up into 1942. So 39 through 42, they did a replay in the historical play of the cards. And I know in my copies of Axis Empires, they give you a note on the card to show you the historical play if you want to use the strategies in historical order. So that's basically what he did in this original article. And then there's a second article, Krieg as Alternative History, or as Alternate History. So there's kind of a question and answer discussion with, I think, the editor and Steve Kosakowski. I guess it was, this is Alan Emmerich and Steve Kosakowski. So, excellent, excellent article. So if you like and want to know more about the foundations of Axis Empires, Totaler Krieg, this magazine, really, pretty much the whole magazine is about that game. Anyway, thank you for watching. This was a video about moves number 93 from 1997. I hope you have a great day.